What if the success you want arrived tomorrow? Would you know how to protect it? Would you manage the money, pressure, freedom, attention, and responsibility? Or would the old version of you quietly destroy it? Most people prepare to attract success. Very few prepare to carry it. More money would expose your habits. More freedom would expose your discipline. More attention would expose your confidence. And more responsibility would expose every weakness your smaller life allowed you to hide. You do not need another dream. You need a new operating system, a stronger mind, a larger capacity, a person who does not shrink when life finally expands. This is not a book about imagining your future self. It is about building that person before the opportunity arrives. Because your future success will require a version of you that does not exist yet. And the work begins now. 1. Why you sabotage what feels too big for you. Many people believe they sabotage success because they are lazy, careless, weak, or undisciplined. That explanation is often wrong. A person can work hard for years and still destroy an opportunity when it finally arrives. They can pray for a better life, plan for it, speak about it, and imagine it clearly. But when the door opens, their behavior suddenly changes. They delay the important call. They miss the deadline. They stop following the routine that was working. They become careless with money. They create an unnecessary argument. They return to an old habit. They choose someone who brings chaos into their life. From the outside, this behavior makes no sense. Why would someone damage the very thing they wanted? Because wanting a result and feeling safe with that result are not the same thing. Your conscious mind may want a bigger life, but another part of you may still believe that a bigger life is dangerous. Success can bring attention. Success can create responsibility. Success can change your relationships. Success can remove your excuses. Success can force you to become visible. Success can expose the fact that you are no longer the person you used to be. The mind does not only ask, "Do I want this?" It also asks, "Will I still know who I am if I receive this?" That second question controls more behavior than most people realize. A familiar struggle can become part of a person's identity. They may hate the struggle, but they understand it. They know how to behave inside it. They know what to expect. They know what story to tell themselves. A better life has no familiar script. A struggling person knows how to survive. A successful person must learn how to lead, decide, protect, organize, communicate, and carry pressure. When success becomes real, the person may no longer be afraid of failure. They may become afraid of the person success requires them to become. This creates what we can call the size conflict. The opportunity is one size. The identity is another size. When the opportunity feels larger than the identity, the nervous system may treat growth like danger. This does not always appear as clear fear. It can appear as boredom, tiredness, confusion, distraction, perfectionism, anger, or a sudden desire to change direction. A person may say, "I have lost motivation," but motivation may not be the real problem. The deeper problem may be that the next level has placed them too far outside the identity they know. Imagine that someone has always seen themselves as an ordinary employee. One day they are offered a leadership position. They wanted the promotion. They worked for it. They deserve it. But now people will watch their decisions. People will judge their mistakes. Old friends may treat them differently. They may need to speak with authority. They may need to say no. They may need to make decisions without being loved by everyone. The promotion is not only giving them more money, it is asking them to release an old identity. That is where sabotage begins. The person may start arriving late. They may avoid difficult conversations. They may become too friendly with people they must lead. They may hide from responsibility. They may make themselves look less capable than they truly are. They are not always trying to lose the position. They are trying to return to an identity that feels familiar. The same pattern appears in business. A small business owner may finally attract more customers, but instead of improving the system, they become disorganized. Messages remain unanswered, orders are delayed, money is spent emotionally, important records are ignored. The business did not become too big because the owner lacked talent. It became too big for the owner's current operating identity. Their ambition grew faster than their structure. The same thing can happen in relationships. A person may say they want stable love, but when they meet someone calm and honest, they become restless. Peace may feel empty to someone trained by chaos. Respect may feel suspicious to someone trained by rejection. Consistency may feel boring to someone trained to chase affection. They may return to a painful relationship because pain is easier to recognize than peace. This is one of the hardest truths about transformation. People do not always choose what is good for them. They often choose what confirms who they already believe they are. If someone secretly believes, "People always leave me," they may behave in ways that push good people away. When the person leaves, the pain is real, but the old identity receives new evidence. It says, "See, I was right." The mind often prefers a painful prediction that comes true over a beautiful reality it cannot yet explain. That is why self-sabotage cannot be solved by shouting at yourself. You cannot insult yourself into expansion. You cannot hate yourself into a larger identity. You must find the exact point where success begins to feel unsafe. Ask yourself a more useful question. What becomes dangerous when this works? This question reveals the hidden cost your mind has attached to success. Perhaps success means your family will expect more from you. Perhaps success means you can no longer hide. Perhaps success means people will criticize you. Perhaps success means you must leave a familiar group. Perhaps success means you will have something valuable to lose. Perhaps success means you can no longer blame your circumstances. Perhaps success means the old version of you must finally end. The answer is often more powerful than another goal-setting method. You may discover that you are not afraid of building a successful business. You are afraid of being responsible for other people. You may not be afraid of becoming wealthy. You may be afraid that people will use you. You may not be afraid of becoming known. You may be afraid that one public mistake will destroy your image. You may not be afraid of a healthy relationship. You may be afraid that being deeply known will reveal parts of you that you still reject. Once the hidden fear has a name, it becomes easier to train for it. The next step is to stop asking your identity to accept a huge change in one moment. Large opportunities should be practiced in smaller forms. A person who wants to lead a large team should first practice making clear decisions for a small project. A person who wants financial success should first prove that they can manage a small amount of money with order. A person who wants a peaceful relationship should practice receiving kindness without creating a test. A person who wants a public platform should practice being seen without changing their values for approval. This is called size training. You slowly teach your mind that a larger life does not mean losing control. You do not wait until the giant opportunity arrives. You begin carrying small pieces of its pressure now. If your future success will require public speaking, speak before small groups. If it will require managing money, create order around the money you already have. If it will require leading people, become reliable before receiving the title. If it will require criticism, practice hearing small amounts of criticism without losing your direction. If it will require making difficult decisions, stop avoiding small decisions today. Success becomes less frightening when its demands are no longer completely new. Another useful method is to separate growth pain from danger. Growth pain says, "This is difficult because I am learning." Danger says, "This will harm me." The body can confuse the two. A difficult conversation may cause your heart to beat faster. That does not always mean the conversation is wrong. It may mean your old identity is losing control. A larger payment may create anxiety. That does not mean you should reject the opportunity. It may mean your financial identity has never handled this level before. A new audience may make you nervous. That does not prove you are unprepared. It may prove that visibility is unfamiliar. Before escaping, ask, is this truly dangerous, or is it simply larger than what I know? That one question can save years of unnecessary retreat. You must also learn to recognize the moment sabotage begins. Self-sabotage usually has an early signal. It may begin when you stop looking at your schedule. It may begin when you start sleeping at random times. It may begin when you avoid checking your messages. It may begin when you become emotionally attached to a new distraction. It may begin when you start creating impossible standards. It may begin when you tell yourself you need a completely new plan. The final collapse often starts with a small break in self-contact. You stop watching your own behavior. You stop recording what matters. You stop facing the numbers. You stop asking whether your actions match your stated goal. This is why awareness must arrive before discipline. You need a personal sabotage signal. Choose one behavior that usually appears before you move backward. For one person, it may be avoiding the bank account. For another, it may be staying awake late without a reason. For another, it may be disappearing from helpful people. For another, it may be changing the goal every week. Treat that signal like a warning light. When it appears, do not redesign your entire life. Return to the smallest stable action. Answer the message. Open the document. Review the numbers. Complete the next 10 minutes of work. Clean the working space. Make the difficult call. Return to reality before the mind builds a dramatic story. Self-sabotage grows in emotional fog. Clear action reduces that fog. There is also an important difference between capacity failure and character failure. Suppose you receive a large opportunity and struggle to manage it. This does not automatically mean you are not worthy of it. It may mean your current system is too weak. A weak system can be improved. A missing skill can be learned. A poor schedule can be rebuilt. A difficult emotion can be trained. But when you call every struggle a personal failure, shame enters the process. Shame makes you hide. Hiding makes the problem worse. Instead of saying, I always ruin everything, say, this opportunity has revealed a capacity I need to build. That sentence keeps your identity open. A failure becomes information instead of a final judgment. Your next level will expose you. That is part of its purpose. It will expose the habits that cannot continue. It will expose the relationships that depend on your weakness. It will expose the systems that only worked when life was small. It will expose the promises you make but do not keep. It will expose the places where confidence has been covering a lack of preparation. Do not treat this exposure as proof that you should return. Treat it as a map. Success is showing you where the old structure is too weak. Your work is not to prove that you already know everything. Your work is to become the person who can learn fast enough to remain. There will always be a moment when the new life feels too large. That moment is not a command to leave. It is an invitation to expand. The goal is not to remove every uncomfortable emotion. The goal is to stop obeying every uncomfortable emotion. You can feel uncertain and still continue. You can feel exposed and still learn. You can feel afraid and still keep the appointment. You can feel unready and still prepare. You can feel the old identity pulling you backward and still choose one action that belongs to the new one. The future does not disappear because fear appears, but it may disappear if fear is allowed to make every decision. The solution to sabotage is not endless motivation. It is building enough inner safety that growth no longer feels like self-destruction. You make success safer by understanding its real demands. You make it safer by training for pressure in smaller forms. You make it safer by building systems before you need them. You make it safer by separating discomfort from danger. You make it safer by noticing your first sabotage signal. You make it safer by returning to action before shame takes control. The opportunity may still feel large, but you will no longer need to become small to escape it. 2. Why your mind attacks every upgrade. Every meaningful upgrade creates a period of resistance. A better routine creates resistance. A larger goal creates resistance. A new standard creates resistance. A healthier relationship creates resistance. A higher level of responsibility creates resistance. Many people misunderstand this resistance. They believe it proves that the new direction is wrong. They begin something important, and for a few days they feel excited. Then strange problems appear. They become more tired than usual. Old habits become more attractive. Doubt becomes louder. Small tasks feel heavy. They suddenly remember 10 other things they should be doing. They start questioning a decision that felt clear 1 week earlier. This is not always a sign that the plan is bad. It may be the mind protecting its current prediction of who you are. The mind loves what it can predict. Prediction saves energy. When your days, reactions, and choices remain familiar, the mind knows what comes next. It does not need to examine every action deeply. An old routine may be unhealthy, but it is known. A new routine may be helpful, but it requires more attention. That is why a person can repeat a harmful habit almost automatically, but feel exhausted while building a useful one. The old behavior has a road. The new behavior is still cutting through the forest. Every upgrade asks the mind to build a new road. At first, that road is slow. You need to remember what to do. You need to stop yourself from returning to the old pattern. You need to make decisions that were never required before. You need to tolerate results that are not yet visible. This creates an upgrade cost. The mind may respond by trying to pull you back toward the cheaper pattern. It uses several methods. The first method is false urgency. The moment you begin important work, smaller tasks suddenly feel urgent. You decide to write, and cleaning becomes extremely attractive. You decide to exercise, and checking messages feels necessary. You decide to study, and reorganizing your files appears more useful. The smaller task gives you movement without identity risk. You remain busy, but you avoid the action that could truly change your life. The second method is emotional weather. The mind creates the belief that your emotional state must be correct before action can begin. You tell yourself you will work when you feel focused. You will speak when you feel confident. You will start when you feel inspired. You will make the decision when the fear disappears. This keeps the old identity safe because feelings change constantly. A future self cannot be built on emotional permission. Important action must sometimes happen while the inner weather is unpleasant. The third method is intelligent doubt. Simple fear is easy to notice. Intelligent doubt is more dangerous because it sounds wise. It says, maybe this is not the right time. Perhaps I need more information. I should wait until I have a better plan. What if another method is faster? I do not want to waste my energy. These thoughts may sound careful, but careful thinking has a clear end. Avoidance keeps producing new questions. When every answer creates another reason to delay, the goal is no longer understanding. The goal is escape. The fourth method is identity memory. The mind collects old evidence. The moment you try to upgrade, it reminds you of every previous failure. It remembers the course you did not finish. It remembers the routine you abandoned. It remembers the promise you broke. It remembers the time you became excited and lost interest. The mind presents this evidence as a prediction. It says, this is what you always do. But the past only proves what happened under your old systems, old awareness, old environment, and old level of skill. It does not prove what must happen next. Your mind may also attack an upgrade by creating an all-or-nothing rule. A person begins waking early. One day they wake late. The mind says the routine has failed. A person begins saving money. One unexpected expense appears. The mind says the plan is useless. A person begins exercising. They miss 2 sessions. The mind says they are back at the beginning. This is how one imperfect day becomes a complete return to the old identity. The mind prefers total collapse because partial recovery requires a new skill. That skill is repair. Most people focus on starting well. Future success depends more on returning quickly. A strong identity is not an identity that never breaks rhythm. It is an identity that knows how to repair rhythm before a small break becomes a new lifestyle. Create a repair rule before you need it. If you miss one day, the next action becomes smaller, not larger. If you miss a workout, do not punish yourself with an extreme workout. Complete a short session. If you lose focus for a week, do not design a perfect new life. Return to one protected hour. If you spend more than planned, do not abandon the budget. Review the amount and correct the next decision. The goal is to reduce the distance between interruption and return. Your old identity grows stronger during long gaps. Your new identity grows stronger through fast repair. Another reason the mind attacks upgrades is that improvement changes your social position. When you grow, your role may change. The person who always agreed may begin setting boundaries. The person who was always available may protect working time. The person who laughed at every insult may stop accepting disrespect. The person who depended on others may become independent. The mind understands that these changes may create conflict. Growth can threaten belonging. A part of you may believe, if I change too much, I may lose my people. This fear can be stronger than the desire to succeed. Human beings do not only seek achievement, they seek connection. When growth appears to require social loss, the mind may slow growth down. This is why people often improve privately, but shrink when they return to familiar groups. The old group activates the old role. You may speak differently. You may lower your standards. You may hide your goals. You may make jokes about your own ambition. You may act confused, so others remain comfortable. The attack on your upgrade may not come from a lack of discipline. It may come from a need to stay accepted. You must decide whether belonging is still healthy when it requires self-reduction. Not every relationship must end, but every relationship must lose the power to define your maximum size. The mind also attacks upgrades because a new level removes old rewards. Bad habits often give fast rewards. Distraction gives immediate relief. Overspending gives immediate pleasure. Avoiding a difficult task gives immediate comfort. Blaming someone else gives immediate protection from responsibility. A better habit may give no fast reward. Saving money feels like losing freedom today. Studying feels like giving effort before receiving a result. Exercise feels uncomfortable before the body becomes stronger. Building a business requires work before income becomes stable. The old behavior pays now and charges later. The new behavior often charges now and pays later. The mind must be trained to survive the gap. This gap is where many upgrades die. To protect your new behavior, create an immediate reward that does not destroy the goal. After completing deep work, take a real break without guilt. After following the budget, record the progress where you can see it. After completing a difficult conversation, acknowledge the courage it required. After keeping a promise, mark it in a simple proof record. The reward is not childish. It teaches the mind that useful effort is recognized. The mind repeats what produces a clear result. If the final result will take months, create smaller signals of progress. Do not only measure weight lost, measure workouts completed. Do not only measure money earned, measure proposals sent. Do not only measure followers gained, measure valuable work published. Do not only measure confidence, measure difficult actions completed while confidence was low. This changes your relationship with progress. You stop asking, "Has my life changed completely?" You begin asking, "Did I perform the behavior that makes change more likely?" This is a more powerful question because it returns control to you. There is also a dangerous time after starting an upgrade. At the beginning, excitement carries you. Later, results begin to appear. Between those two stages is a quiet period where the new behavior is no longer exciting, but the reward is not yet strong. This is the identity construction zone. Nothing dramatic may happen there. You repeat the action. You receive little praise. The old life remains visible. The new life remains incomplete. This period decides who changes. The mind attacks hardest when effort is real, but evidence is still weak. You must expect this stage. Do not call it failure. Do not redesign everything because the middle feels ordinary. The future self is often built during weeks that appear unimportant. You wake up. You complete the action. You receive no applause. You continue. This teaches the mind a new lesson. We do not require emotional excitement to remain committed. That lesson is more valuable than temporary motivation. A powerful method is to create an upgrade map. For every major change, write down 4 things. First, write the new behavior. Second, write the old behavior it will replace. Third, write the fast reward the old behavior provides. Fourth, write how you will handle the loss of that reward. Suppose your new behavior is working for 90 minutes without checking your phone. The old behavior is checking messages every few minutes. The fast reward is relief from boredom and uncertainty. Your replacement may be a planned 5-minute break after the work block. Now the resistance has been understood. You are not simply fighting a phone, you are training your ability to remain present when the mind wants fast relief. Suppose your new behavior is saying no to unreasonable requests. The old behavior is agreeing immediately. The fast reward is avoiding disappointment and conflict. Your replacement may be a standard sentence. Let me check my schedule and answer you later. This creates space between pressure and decision. You are not only learning to say no, you are training the mind to survive a short period of social discomfort. Every upgrade removes an old form of comfort. Know what comfort is being removed, or the mind will search for it secretly. Another method is the minimum upgrade. When resistance is high, protect the identity even if the performance becomes smaller. If the full plan is 1 hour of study, the minimum upgrade may be 15 focused minutes. If the full plan is a long workout, the minimum upgrade may be 10 minutes of movement. If the full plan is writing 1,000 words, the minimum upgrade may be opening the document and writing 1 useful paragraph. The minimum is not the final standard, it is an emergency bridge. It keeps the new identity alive during difficult periods. The old identity wants complete abandonment. The minimum upgrade denies it that victory. You should also limit the number of upgrades you attempt at one time. A person may try to wake early, exercise daily, study for 3 hours, stop sugar, build a business, read every night, meditate, save money, and repair every relationship in the same week. This creates too much identity strain. When the plan collapses, the person concludes that they lack discipline. The real problem was upgrade overload. Change requires attention. Attention is limited. Choose 1 or 2 upgrades that improve other areas. Better sleep may improve focus, mood, exercise, and decision-making. A protected work block may improve income, confidence, and skill. A spending system may reduce anxiety and create stability. The strongest upgrade is often the one that creates support for other upgrades. You must stop treating resistance as a final truth. Resistance is often the old system asking to remain in power. It becomes louder because the upgrade is becoming real. The mind may attack the new standard with doubt, tiredness, distraction, perfectionism, social fear, or a desire to start over. Recognize the attack without turning it into an identity. Do not say, "I am lazy." Say, "My mind is offering the cheaper pattern." Do not say, "I have lost myself." Say, the old identity has been activated. Do not say, this plan is impossible. Say, this plan needs a smaller entry point or a stronger system. Language matters because the words you use decide whether a problem becomes permanent. An attack is not a command. A thought is not a decision. A feeling is not a prophecy. An urge is not an identity. The future self is created when the mind attacks the upgrade and you continue with intelligence, not with blind force, not with self-hatred, not by pretending resistance does not exist. You continue by understanding the reward you are losing, the fear you are meeting, the role you are leaving, and the system you still need to build. Every upgrade creates a battle between what is familiar and what is possible. The familiar version has history. The possible version needs repetition. Give it that repetition. The attack may return many times, but every time you act without obeying it, the old pattern loses some authority. Eventually, the behavior that once felt difficult becomes familiar. The new road becomes easier to travel, and the mind that once attacked the upgrade begins protecting it. 3. Why you can attract more than you can hold. Getting an opportunity and keeping an opportunity require different abilities. Attraction brings something into your life. Capacity allows it to remain. A person may attract more money than they can manage. They may attract more customers than they can serve. They may attract a relationship healthier than they can receive. They may attract attention greater than their emotional stability can handle. They may attract a position larger than their leadership ability. They may attract freedom without having the discipline to use it well. This explains why some people reach a new level and quickly fall back. The opportunity was real, the desire was real, the talent was real, but the internal and external structure was too small. Think of success as water and your life as a container. Most people focus on getting more water. They study attraction. They study marketing. They study networking. They study how to gain attention. They study how to earn more. Very few examine the container. If the container is weak, more water creates more pressure. If the container has holes, more water creates more waste. If the container is too small, more water creates overflow. The problem is not always the amount entering your life. The problem may be the structure responsible for holding it. There are several forms of capacity. The first is attention capacity. Can you remain focused when more things demand your attention? A small business may have 5 customers. The owner can remember every request without a system. Then the business grows to 50 customers. The owner continues using memory. Messages are forgotten. Deadlines are missed. Promises become confused. Customers become unhappy. The owner says, growth has made everything difficult. Growth did not create the weakness. Growth revealed it. The old method was never strong. The business was simply small enough to hide the problem. Larger success removes the protection of small numbers. Memory may work for 5 tasks. It will not work for 50. Personal effort may handle 10 orders. It may collapse under 100. A casual schedule may support a hobby. It cannot support a serious operation. This is why the system must grow before the demand becomes painful. Attention capacity is not about doing everything. It is about knowing where information belongs. Tasks need one trusted place. Appointments need a calendar. Important decisions need written records. Repeated work needs a process. Messages need clear response times. Without these structures, success enters the mind as constant noise. The second form is emotional capacity. Can you remain steady when praise and criticism increase together? Many people want visibility. They imagine the positive side of being known. They imagine respect, influence, opportunity, and income. They do not imagine misunderstanding, judgment, comparison, pressure, and public mistakes. Attention is rarely one-sided. The more people see your work, the more opinions will enter your life. A person with low emotional capacity may become controlled by every reaction. Praise makes them overconfident. Criticism makes them disappear. One successful result makes them careless. One weak result makes them question everything. Their direction changes according to the latest comment. This makes success difficult to hold. The larger the audience becomes, the more emotional noise appears. A strong future self needs an internal filter. Not every opinion deserves equal weight. Ask 3 questions when receiving feedback. Does this person understand the work? Is the feedback specific? Can I use it to improve a real result? If the answer is no, the comment may still hurt, but it does not need to control your strategy. Emotional capacity does not mean becoming cold. It means remaining connected to reality while emotion moves through you. You can hear criticism without building your identity from it. You can receive praise without becoming dependent on it. You can face uncertainty without making a desperate decision. The third form is financial capacity. Earning money and managing money are separate skills. A person may know how to sell, but not how to save. They may know how to earn, but not how to plan. They may receive a larger income and immediately create larger expenses. Their lifestyle grows faster than their stability. More money passes through their hands, but little remains. This creates the illusion of success without the foundation of success. Financial capacity begins with visibility. You must know what enters. You must know what leaves. You must know what is fixed. You must know what changes. You must know what is owed. You must know what must be protected. Money that is not given a role will often follow emotion. A larger income without a larger financial identity can create larger mistakes. The person may buy symbols of success before building the structure of success. They want to look upgraded before becoming stable. The future self does not only ask, "How much can I earn?" The future self asks, "How much can I keep, direct, protect, and use with purpose?" The fourth form is decision capacity. At a small level, mistakes may be cheap. At a larger level, one poor decision can affect many people, more money, or months of work. Success increases the cost of unclear thinking. A leader cannot make every decision from mood. A business owner cannot say yes to every opportunity. A creator cannot chase every trend. A person with more responsibility must become better at selecting what not to do. This is difficult because success brings options. Options can look like freedom, but too many options can destroy direction. A person may attract several opportunities and lose all of them because they refuse to choose. They begin 5 projects. They complete none. They accept every invitation. They protect no important work. They keep every door open until no path receives enough energy. Decision capacity requires a clear filter. A useful opportunity must match at least 3 things. It must fit your direction. It must fit your current resources. It must fit the season of life you are in. An opportunity can be good and still be wrong for this season. A person with capacity understands that saying no does not mean the opportunity lacks value. It means focus has value too. The 5th form is relational capacity. Success changes relationships. Some people will celebrate. Some will compare. Some will become demanding. Some will appear because they want access. Some will expect the successful person to solve every problem. Without relational capacity, success can turn into guilt. The person becomes afraid to disappoint anyone. They give too much time. They explain every decision. They lend money without clear limits. They allow emergencies created by others to destroy their own priorities. Soon, success feels like punishment. They begin missing the smaller life because it required fewer boundaries. To hold a larger life, you must learn that kindness without limits can become self-abandonment. Helping everyone is not the same as serving wisely. A future self needs clear access rules. Who can reach you at any time? What problems are truly yours to solve? What requests require time before answering? What information must remain private? What behavior will end a conversation? These questions may feel uncomfortable, but unclear relationships can drain every other form of capacity. The sixth form is recovery capacity. More responsibility creates more pressure. Pressure is not always avoidable. The question is whether you can return to strength after intense work, disappointment, conflict, or uncertainty. Some people know how to push, but do not know how to recover. They keep working until the body forces them to stop. They treat rest as weakness. They ignore small signs of stress. Then one difficult event creates complete collapse. A future self does not only have a work system, it has a recovery system. Sleep is part of capacity. Quiet is part of capacity. Movement is part of capacity. Time away from constant input is part of capacity. A weekly review is part of capacity because it clears mental pressure before it becomes confusion. Recovery is not a reward given after burnout. It is maintenance that prevents burnout. The seventh form is meaning capacity. Can you remember why the work matters when success becomes repetitive? At first, progress is exciting. Every new customer matters. Every new follower matters. Every increase feels powerful. Later, numbers become normal. The work becomes heavier. The person may continue growing while feeling less alive. This can create hidden sabotage. They begin creating problems because the old struggle felt more meaningful than the new routine. They confuse intensity with purpose. To hold success, you need a reason deeper than the excitement of growth. What problem are you solving? Who benefits from the work? What kind of person are you becoming? What values must remain even if the numbers increase? Without meaning, success becomes another machine that demands energy. With meaning, responsibility becomes easier to carry. You can test your capacity before success arrives. Do not only imagine the reward, imagine the maintenance. Suppose you want 10 times more customers. Ask, how will messages be handled? How will quality be protected? How will complaints be resolved? How will payments be recorded? How will work be delivered? What happens when someone is absent? What tasks must stop being done manually? This changes the dream into an operating reality. Suppose you want a larger audience. Ask, how will you continue producing when people criticize you? How will you protect privacy? How will you avoid checking reactions all day? How will you make decisions when one piece of work performs poorly? How will you remain honest when popularity rewards exaggeration? Suppose you want a healthy relationship. Ask, can you communicate discomfort without creating drama? Can you receive care without becoming suspicious? Can you remain honest when honesty may create tension? Can you keep your own identity while building a shared life? Can you tolerate peace without searching for emotional chaos? These are holding questions. They reveal whether desire has become capacity. A powerful exercise is the success stress test. Choose the result you want and multiply it. If you want 100 customers, imagine receiving 300. If you want 1,000 people watching your work, imagine 100,000. If you want a leadership position, imagine being responsible during a crisis. Now examine where the structure breaks first. Does time break? Does attention break? Does confidence break? Does quality break? Do relationships break? Does health break? Does financial order break? The first breaking point shows the capacity that should be built now. This prevents a common mistake, trying to solve every weakness at once. Build the structure nearest to failure. If your attention is already overloaded, adding more opportunity will not create freedom. Build a task system. If income is increasing but nothing remains, build financial order. If criticism controls your work, build emotional filters. If every request receives a yes, build relational boundaries. Capacity grows when pressure is directed toward the exact weak point. There is another important principle. Do not increase volume before improving reliability. Many people want more work when they still deliver current work late. They want more customers when current customers are confused. They want a larger team when communication with the current team is unclear. They want more income when current spending is invisible. They want more attention when their emotions are already controlled by small amounts of feedback. More volume magnifies the present system. It does not repair it. Before asking for more, ask whether the current level is being handled with order. Can you repeat the result? Can you maintain quality? Can someone else understand the process? Can the work continue during a difficult week? Can you see the important numbers clearly? Can you recover after pressure? Reliability is evidence that capacity is growing. You should also create extra space. A system working at 100% pressure is already close to failure. If every hour is full, one unexpected problem destroys the day. If every amount of money is already spent, one expense creates panic. If every emotional need is placed on one person, one conflict creates collapse. If every task depends on you, one illness stops everything. Capacity includes margin. Margin is unused space that protects the system. Time margin protects the schedule. Financial margin protects decisions. Emotional margin protects relationships. Operational margin protects quality. People often see unused space as waste. The future self sees it as protection. A larger life requires room for things that cannot be predicted. The deepest shift is moving from attraction thinking to stewardship thinking. Attraction asks, how can I get this? Stewardship asks, how will I care for this after it arrives? Attraction wants the position. Stewardship prepares to carry the people affected by the position. Attraction wants the money. Stewardship creates a plan for the money. Attraction wants the audience. Stewardship protects the trust of the audience. Attraction wants freedom. Stewardship creates enough discipline that freedom does not become waste. The future self does not only chase doors. The future self strengthens the person who must walk through them. This does not mean you must become perfect before receiving more. Perfect readiness does not exist. Growth itself will teach you. But there is a difference between learning while prepared and learning while completely disorganized. You can build basic systems. You can study the demands. You can increase emotional steadiness. You can create margin. You can practice difficult decisions. You can make your current life more reliable. Success should stretch you. It should not need to rescue you from structures you refuse to build. You may be capable of attracting far more than you currently hold. That is not an insult. It is a powerful discovery. It means the next breakthrough may not require a new dream. It may require a stronger container. Instead of asking only for more, strengthen what more will enter. Instead of chasing a larger life with the same habits, build the habits that make a larger life sustainable. Because the true measure of success is not what enters your life for one exciting moment. It is what can remain without destroying your peace, values, health, relationships, or direction. 4. Every environment tries to restore the old you. Your identity does not live only inside your thoughts. It also lives inside rooms, routines, objects, relationships, expectations, and repeated situations. A person may make a strong decision while alone. They decide to become disciplined. They decide to protect their time. They decide to stop accepting disrespect. They decide to work seriously. Then they return to the same environment, and the old behavior returns almost automatically. This happens because environments remember versions of you. Your bedroom may remember the version of you that watched videos late at night. Your workplace may remember the version that never spoke up. Your family may remember the version that always agreed. Your friends may remember the version that made fun of serious goals. Your phone may remember the version that escaped every uncomfortable moment. The environment is not neutral. It offers instructions. A chair can say, sit here and lose an hour. A notification can say, leave your priorities and enter someone else's world. A messy desk can say, important work is difficult here. A certain group can say, do not become too serious, return to your old role. These instructions are rarely spoken, but behavior responds to them. This is why changing your mind without changing your environment often creates a painful battle. Every action requires too much effort because the surroundings keep suggesting the opposite action. Imagine placing healthy food in a hidden box while unhealthy food remains visible on the table. Every good decision requires remembering the hidden option and resisting the visible option. Now reverse the arrangement. The healthier choice becomes easy to see. The unhealthy choice requires extra effort. The person still has freedom, but the environment has changed the direction of the easiest action. This is a simple rule. What is visible becomes mentally available. What is easy becomes more likely. What is repeated becomes normal. What is socially rewarded becomes difficult to resist. A future self should not rely on willpower against hundreds of daily signals. The environment must begin supporting the person you are becoming. There are 4 major environments that restore the old you. The first is the physical environment. This includes your room, desk, car, kitchen, clothing, tools, and every object you interact with. Physical spaces create behavior through convenience. When the phone sleeps next to the bed, distraction becomes the first available action in the morning. When work materials are buried inside drawers, beginning requires several steps. When the exercise clothes are difficult to find, the old excuse receives support. When every surface is full, the mind carries small, unfinished messages all day. The future self needs fewer steps between intention and action. Prepare the environment before motivation is required. Place the book where you sit. Open the document before the work session begins. Keep the phone outside the working area. Prepare the clothes the night before. Make the useful action obvious. Make the harmful action inconvenient. This is not a small trick. It changes the number of decisions required. Every unnecessary decision creates a chance to return to the old pattern. Suppose you want to write every morning. The old system is to wake up, search for the laptop, find the charger, choose a location, decide what to write, open several websites, and then begin. The new system is to leave the laptop ready, the document open, the topic selected, and the phone in another room. The amount of talent has not changed. The environment has reduced resistance. The second environment is the digital environment. Many people try to build a focused future inside a digital world designed to interrupt them. Their phone contains social pressure, entertainment, news, messages, shopping, comparison, and endless novelty. Every unlock presents several possible identities: the serious worker, the worried observer, the impulsive buyer, the angry commenter, the passive watcher, the distracted friend. Without clear design, the phone restores the identity that reacts instead of chooses. Digital environments are powerful because they travel with you. A distracting room can be left. A distracting phone enters every room. The future self needs digital boundaries. Remove applications that repeatedly steal more than they give. Turn off notifications that do not require immediate action. Keep important tools easy to reach. Move entertainment away from the first screen. Create specific times for messages. Do not allow every person to place a demand directly inside your attention. Your phone should not decide the order of your mind. The third environment is the social environment. People do not only respond to who you are. They respond to the role you have played in their lives. One person knows you as the helper. Another knows you as the listener. Another knows you as the person who never says no. Another knows you as the person who is always available. Another knows you as the one who stays quiet. When you change, these roles become unstable. Some people will adjust. Some will resist. Their resistance may not be planned or cruel. They may simply prefer the relationship they understand. When you become more disciplined, someone may call you boring. When you protect your time, someone may say you have changed. When you stop explaining yourself, someone may accuse you of becoming distant. When you begin charging fairly for your work, someone may remind you of the time you worked for free. When you become confident, someone may use an old mistake to return you to shame. The environment is trying to restore balance. Your old role supported a certain pattern. Your change creates pressure on everyone connected to that pattern. Suppose one person in a family always solves every problem. When that person begins setting limits, other family members must become more responsible. They may resist the boundary because it requires their growth. Suppose a group of friends connects through complaining. When one member stops complaining and begins taking action, the group loses a shared activity. They may call the person proud. The criticism may actually mean, "Your change is making our old agreement uncomfortable." This is why social resistance should be examined carefully. Not every person who dislikes your new behavior is correct. Not every uncomfortable reaction means you are behaving badly. Sometimes your new standard is exposing an old benefit someone received from your lack of boundaries. You do not need to become cruel. You do need to become clear. A useful sentence is, "I am changing how I handle this." This sentence does not attack anyone. It does not ask permission. It informs the environment that the old pattern is no longer automatic. You may need to repeat the sentence many times because environments test whether change is real. The first boundary is often treated as temporary. The second boundary is treated as negotiable. Repeated boundaries teach people that the role has truly changed. The fourth environment is the internal environment. This includes the language, images, and expectations you repeat inside your mind. Even after changing the room and relationships, the old identity may continue through inner speech. You may complete good work and immediately reduce its value. You may receive an opportunity and tell yourself it was luck. You may make progress and compare yourself with someone far ahead. You may make one mistake and use the language of total failure. The internal environment restores the old you through familiar interpretation. Two people can experience the same difficulty. One says, "This proves I cannot do it." The other says, "This shows what I need to improve." The event is the same. The identity created from the event is different. Your inner language must become accurate, not falsely positive. Accurate. If you missed one day, say you missed one day. Do not say you have destroyed everything. If a project performed poorly, say the project performed poorly. Do not say you have no future. If someone rejected your offer, say that person said no. Do not say nobody will ever say yes. The old identity survives by turning small events into permanent definitions. Accuracy removes that power. A future self needs environmental design at 3 levels. The first level is removal, what repeatedly activates the old identity and gives little value. Remove unnecessary access. Remove the application. Remove the object. Remove the automatic invitation. Remove the repeated conversation. Removal is powerful because it ends the need for daily negotiation. The second level is replacement. Empty space will often be filled by the old pattern unless a new behavior has a clear place. If you remove late-night scrolling, what will happen during that time? If you stop meeting a negative group every weekend, where will healthy connection come from? If you stop using food to manage stress, what action will help the body calm down? If you stop accepting every request, how will you respond instead? Replacement gives the nervous system another path. The third level is reinforcement. How will the environment remind you of the new identity? A visible plan can reinforce direction. A prepared workspace can reinforce focus. A weekly meeting with serious people can reinforce standards. A record of completed promises can reinforce self-trust. An automatic savings transfer can reinforce financial responsibility. Reinforcement makes the new behavior easier to repeat. You should also examine identity locations. Certain places activate certain versions of you. At one desk, you work seriously. On one side of the bed, you watch videos. In one cafe, you think clearly. At one relative's home, you become silent. Around one friend, you become careless. These patterns can be used. Create locations with clear meanings. Do not work everywhere. Choose one place that signals deep work. Do not rest while sitting in the same position where you answer stressful messages. Give different actions different spaces when possible. The mind learns through association. When a location repeatedly serves one purpose, entering that location prepares the behavior. A future self also needs entry and exit rituals. An entry ritual tells the mind which identity is now active. Before work, you may clear the desk, place the phone away, open the plan, and begin with one defined task. Before exercise, you may change clothes, drink water, and start with the same warm-up. Before a difficult conversation, you may write the main point and decide what outcome is acceptable. An exit ritual closes the role. After work, you may record what was completed and write the next action. After receiving criticism, you may take notes, select what is useful, and leave the rest. After spending time in an environment that activates the old identity, you may walk, reflect, or sit quietly before carrying that energy into the next part of the day. These rituals prevent one environment from controlling the entire day. Another powerful idea is the identity checkpoint. Choose moments where the old version usually returns. It may be after dinner. It may be when money enters your account. It may be after a stressful call. It may be when an opportunity is rejected. It may be when you return home. At that moment, prepare one question. What does the old environment expect me to do now? Then ask, what action protects the person I am becoming? Suppose stress usually leads to an online purchase. The environment expects spending. The new action may be waiting 24 hours. Suppose criticism usually leads to disappearing. The environment expects withdrawal. The new action may be reviewing the work and making one improvement. Suppose returning home leads to lying down with the phone for 2 hours. The environment expects escape. The new action may be changing clothes, drinking water, and taking a 10-minute walk. Identity checkpoints turn automatic moments into conscious moments. You should not expect every environment to celebrate your growth. Some environments are built around your old limitations. They function better when you remain predictable. Your progress may require distance from certain spaces. Distance does not always mean complete separation. It may mean less time. It may mean fewer personal details. It may mean no longer asking certain people for advice. It may mean refusing to discuss your goals with people who turn every goal into doubt. Access should be based on responsibility, not history alone. Someone may have known you for years and still be unqualified to guide your future. A person's closeness to your past does not give them authority over your next identity. At the same time, do not blame the environment for every weakness. Environmental design supports action. It does not replace responsibility. A perfectly arranged desk cannot make you work. A supportive friend cannot make you keep a promise. A blocked application cannot create purpose. The goal is not to build a life where good behavior requires no effort. The goal is to stop wasting effort fighting signals that can be changed. Your energy should be used for meaningful difficulty, not avoidable friction. You will still need courage. You will still need discipline. You will still face uncertainty. But the room, tools, schedule, and relationships should not all be pulling in the opposite direction. The deepest environmental change is changing what you call normal. When lateness becomes normal, punctuality feels extreme. When distraction becomes normal, focus feels painful. When overspending becomes normal, saving feels restrictive. When disrespect becomes normal, boundaries feel rude. When self-neglect becomes normal, self-respect feels selfish. Your environment teaches normality through repetition. To create a new future, you need repeated contact with a new normal. Spend time around people who complete what they begin. Study work that meets the standard you want. Enter rooms where serious effort is ordinary. Build routines where preparation is expected. Keep records where progress becomes visible. The future self becomes easier when the future standard stops looking unusual. Every environment will try to restore the version of you it understands. Your task is to create enough evidence, structure, and repetition that the new version becomes the one the environment must learn to recognize. 5. Your future self needs proof, not promises. A promise can create emotion. Proof creates identity. People often speak strongly when they are disappointed with themselves. They say, "From tomorrow, everything will change. I will never make this mistake again. This time I am completely serious. I am going to become a different person." The words create temporary relief. For a moment, the person feels separated from the old behavior, but the mind does not build identity from emotional speeches. It watches what happens next. Did you wake up when you said you would? Did you complete the task? Did you tell the truth? Did you follow the plan when nobody was watching? Did you return after missing a day? Did you keep the boundary after someone became upset? The future self is built from these answers. Every action becomes evidence. The mind keeps an invisible record. When you make a promise and keep it, the record says, "My decisions have weight." When you make a promise and break it, the record says, "My words are temporary." This record becomes self-trust. Self-trust is different from self-confidence. Confidence is the belief that you can perform well. Self-trust is the belief that you will remain honest with yourself even when performance is difficult. You may lack confidence in a new skill, but still trust yourself to practice. You may feel nervous about a conversation, but trust yourself to speak clearly. You may be uncertain about the result, but trust yourself to face the result. Self-trust is more stable because it does not require success in every attempt. It requires truth in your response. A person with low self-trust may create large plans but feel little internal power. Their own mind has heard too many promises without action. The problem is not that they need a more exciting dream. They need to repair the relationship between decision and behavior. This repair begins with smaller promises. Many people damage self-trust by making promises based on emotion instead of reality. After a wasted week, they promise to work 12 hours a day. After overspending, they promise to spend nothing for 3 months. After feeling unhealthy, they promise to exercise every morning, stop every harmful food, sleep perfectly, and change their entire life. The promise is too large. It is designed to remove shame, not guide behavior. When the promise breaks, shame becomes stronger. This creates a dangerous cycle. Failure creates pain. Pain creates an extreme promise. The extreme promise creates temporary hope. Reality breaks the promise. The broken promise creates more pain. The person concludes that they cannot trust themselves. The solution is not a more powerful promise. The solution is a promise small enough to become proof. Suppose you have not exercised for months. A weak strategy is promising 1 hour every day. A stronger strategy is promising 10 minutes on 3 selected days and protecting that promise fully. The smaller action may look less impressive, but when completed, it creates evidence. The mind begins learning, when I say this, it happens. That lesson can later support a larger standard. Proof must come before expansion. This is how trust works in any relationship. If someone has broken many promises, a long speech does not repair the relationship. Consistent behavior repairs it. Your relationship with yourself follows the same rule. Do not ask your mind to trust another speech. Give it a completed action. One useful method is the proof ladder. The first level is a promise so small that resistance has little power. The second level is repeating the promise until it feels normal. The third level is increasing the demand slightly. The fourth level is keeping the promise during an imperfect week. The fifth level is returning quickly after a break. Each level builds a different kind of proof. Easy day proof shows that you can begin. Repeated proof shows that you can continue. Growth proof shows that you can expand. Difficult day proof shows that the identity survives pressure. Repair proof shows that a mistake no longer becomes a complete collapse. Repair proof is especially important. Many people believe identity is damaged by missing one day. The greater damage comes from using one missed day as permission to disappear. The future self does not need perfect evidence. It needs honest evidence. Suppose you planned to complete 5 tasks and completed 3. Do not pretend you completed 5. Do not call the entire day useless. Record the 3. Examine why the other 2 remained unfinished. Adjust the next plan. Accurate records create stronger identity than dramatic judgments. The mind needs evidence it can believe. False praise does not help. Saying "I am extremely disciplined" while repeatedly avoiding work creates an internal conflict. The words and evidence disagree. Instead, use identity language that matches the next action. I am practicing keeping one clear promise. I am becoming someone who returns quickly. I am learning to protect focused time. I am building financial order. This language is honest and forward-moving. It does not pretend the transformation is complete. It keeps the identity open while proof is being built. Your future self also needs visible proof. Human memory is unfair. It often remembers emotional failures more clearly than quiet progress. You may keep 20 promises and focus on the one you broke. You may complete weeks of useful work and remember one weak day. You may improve in many areas and continue seeing yourself through an old mistake. A visible proof record corrects this distortion. Keep a simple list of completed identity actions. Do not only record final results. Record the behavior. I began on time. I sent the difficult message. I saved the planned amount. I stopped working when the limit was reached. I spoke honestly. I returned after missing 2 days. I completed the task before seeking entertainment. These are proof units. A proof unit is a small action that supports the identity you are building. The future self is not created by one giant event. It is created by hundreds of proof units. A person becomes reliable by performing reliable actions. A person becomes focused by protecting moments of focus. A person becomes financially responsible by directing money with intention. A person becomes courageous by moving while fear is present. A person becomes calm by slowing down before reacting. Identity follows evidence. This does not mean you must wait years before believing in yourself. One action can begin a new story, but repeated action makes the story believable. There are several kinds of proof you should collect. The first is beginning proof. Can you begin without waiting for the perfect emotion? This may mean opening the document, entering the room, making the call, or starting the first step. Beginning proof weakens procrastination. The second is completion proof. Can you finish a defined piece of work? Many people collect beginnings but not endings. They start courses, projects, plans, and routines. The future self needs a history of completion. Choose smaller units if necessary, but finish them. Completion teaches the mind that effort leads somewhere. The third is boundary proof. Can you protect an important decision when another person applies pressure? A boundary that exists only when nobody disagrees is not yet strong. Boundary proof may be saying no without writing a long explanation. It may be ending work at the planned time. It may be refusing to lend money you cannot afford to lose. It may be protecting sleep from unnecessary demands. The fourth is discomfort proof. Can you act while feeling bored, nervous, uncertain, or unmotivated? This is powerful because many future demands will not arrive with emotional comfort. Discomfort proof teaches the mind that unpleasant feelings do not control action. The fifth is recovery proof. Can you return without punishment? The future self does not waste 3 weeks feeling guilty about 3 weekdays. It identifies the break and rebuilds contact. Recovery proof may be the most important proof because life will always create interruption. The person who knows how to return becomes difficult to stop. Proof should also be connected to a clear identity. Do not collect random productive actions. Ask what each action proves. Waking early has no automatic value if it produces tired, poor quality work. Reading 10 books has no value if nothing is understood or used. Working long hours has no value if the important task remains untouched. The action must support the person's success requires. Suppose your future success requires clear communication. A proof unit may be expressing one difficult point without hiding it. Suppose it requires financial leadership. A proof unit may be reviewing income and expenses every Friday. Suppose it requires creative output. A proof unit may be publishing according to a schedule, even when one piece feels imperfect. Suppose it requires physical energy. A proof unit may be protecting sleep instead of using exhaustion as a symbol of ambition. This makes identity work specific. You are not trying to become better in a vague way. You are collecting evidence for the exact person your future demands. Another danger is proof inflation. Proof inflation happens when a person stops valuing small evidence. They complete 1 hour of focused work, but say it was not enough. They save money, but say the amount was too small. They set one boundary, but focus on the 10 boundaries they still avoid. They make progress, but refuse to count it, because the final goal remains far away. This weakens motivation and identity. Small evidence is not the same as a small future. A brick is small. A building requires bricks. The future self must learn to respect useful repetition. Do not celebrate empty movement. Do recognize real alignment. There is also negative proof. Every time you repeat the old behavior, the old identity receives evidence. This does not mean one mistake destroys progress, but repeated unexamined behavior becomes a vote for the past. You should understand which actions are producing the strongest negative proof. Perhaps you tell yourself you value time, but repeatedly arrive late. Perhaps you say health matters, but sleep receives no protection. Perhaps you say the project is important, but everyone else's requests enter the schedule first. Perhaps you say you want financial peace, but refuse to look at the numbers. The contradiction matters. The goal is not to create shame. The goal is to stop allowing language to hide evidence. Ask, what does my repeated behavior currently prove? This question may be uncomfortable, but it is honest. Then ask, what is the smallest action that would create opposite proof today? Not next month, not after everything becomes easier. Today. If repeated behavior proves that you avoid difficult messages, opposite proof is sending one. If repeated behavior proves that entertainment controls the evening, opposite proof is completing one planned task first. If repeated behavior proves that you abandon plans after mistakes, opposite proof is returning now. The future self becomes real through opposite proof. A powerful system is the daily evidence question. At the end of the day, ask, what did I do today that my future self can trust? The answer should be an action, not an emotion. I felt motivated is not proof. I completed the planned work block is proof. I thought positively is not proof. I spoke honestly during the meeting is proof. I wanted to save money is not proof. I transferred the amount before spending is proof. This question trains the mind to search for identity evidence. Over time, you stop measuring the day only by comfort or visible success. You measure alignment. You should also create a no false promise rule. Do not promise what you have no serious plan to perform. Before making a personal promise, ask, when will this happen? Where will it happen? What action counts as complete? What could interrupt it? What is the recovery plan? A promise without these answers is often a wish. A clear promise has a shape. Instead of saying, I will study more, say, I will study from 7 to 7:30 at the desk on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Instead of saying, I will save money, say, a fixed amount will move into savings when income arrives. Instead of saying, I will work on the business, say, I will contact 5 possible customers before checking social media. Clear promises create measurable evidence. The future self also needs private proof. Public announcements can create a false feeling of completion. You speak about the plan. People praise the plan. The mind receives part of the emotional reward before the work begins. Now the difficult action feels less necessary. Private proof reverses this. You complete first. You speak later, if speaking is useful. Not every goal needs an audience. Some identities grow better without constant explanation. Private proof is especially valuable because it cannot depend on praise. It teaches you to respect your own witness. You know whether you acted. You know whether you avoided. You know whether the standard was protected. This creates an internal source of authority. Eventually, the goal is to reach identity stability. Identity stability means one bad result does not erase the person you have become. A disciplined person can have an undisciplined day without concluding that discipline was fake. A financially responsible person can make one poor purchase and correct it. A courageous person can avoid one conversation and return to it. The identity is no longer so weak that one mistake destroys it. This stability comes from accumulated proof. One action begins the identity. Repeated evidence gives it roots. Difficult day evidence strengthens it. Recovery evidence protects it. The future self does not need you to speak more powerfully about change. It needs you to reduce the distance between your words and your actions. Make fewer promises. Make clearer promises. Keep smaller promises. Record honest proof. Increase the standard slowly. Return quickly when you break rhythm. Over time, your mind will stop treating your decisions as temporary emotion. Your own word will begin to carry weight. When you say you will begin, you begin. When you say you will stop, you stop. When you set a boundary, the boundary remains. When you choose a direction, every mood does not receive the power to change it. That is not only discipline, that is self-trust. And self-trust is one of the strongest foundations any future can stand on. 6. Remove the choice to become small. Many people build their future around daily decision-making. Every morning, they decide whether to work. Every evening, they decide whether to follow the routine. Every time money enters, they decide whether to save. Every time someone makes a request, they decide whether to protect their time. Every difficult moment becomes a new negotiation. This is exhausting. The old identity only needs to win one emotional argument. The new identity must win again and again. A stronger system removes unnecessary choices. This does not mean losing freedom. It means using freedom once to protect yourself from weaker decisions later. Suppose you decide that a fixed amount of income will move automatically into savings. You still made a choice, but you made the choice before the emotional spending moment arrived. Suppose you placed the phone outside the room before beginning work. You still made a choice, but you made it before boredom began asking for escape. Suppose you promise a client a delivery date. You have created external structure. When motivation becomes low, the decision has already been made. This is called pre-decision. Pre-decision means choosing while your mind is clear, so you do not need to choose while your mind is under pressure. Your future self should not depend on your weakest hour making your wisest decision. The hungry version of you should not design the food system. The exhausted version of you should not decide whether sleep matters. The lonely version of you should not decide whether to return to a harmful relationship. The praised version of you should not decide whether every new opportunity deserves a yes. The criticized version of you should not decide whether the whole project should end. Make the rule before the emotional state arrives. This is how you remove the choice to become small again. The first area where choice should be reduced is time. A person may say their most important work matters, but they leave it in an empty part of the schedule. Empty time is rarely empty for long. Messages enter. Requests enter. Small tasks enter. Fatigue enters. Entertainment enters. The important work remains dependent on what is left. A future self gives important work a protected place before other demands appear. The schedule should answer. When does deep work happen? When are messages answered? When are meetings allowed? When does recovery happen? When is planning done? When is the day finished? Without these answers, every hour becomes an argument. A strong schedule is not a prison. It is a decision made in advance about what deserves your best energy. The second area is money. Saving what remains after spending is a weak system because emotion spends quickly. A stronger system gives money roles when it arrives. Some is protected, some is used for needs, some is used for growth. Some may be enjoyed. The exact amounts depend on the person, but the principle remains. Do not let every purchase begin a new debate about your future. Create rules, a waiting period for unnecessary purchases, a limit for certain categories, a fixed amount for saving, a clear rule for lending, a rule for using new income. Money rules protect long-term values from short-term emotion. The third area is work quality. Many people decide how much effort to give after seeing how motivated they feel. This creates unstable results. A future self uses minimum standards. A minimum standard is the lowest acceptable form of performance. A writer may have a minimum number of focused minutes. A business may have a maximum response time. A leader may have a weekly review that happens even during busy periods. A student may complete a minimum amount of practice before entertainment. The minimum standard creates a floor. Goals create a ceiling to reach. Standards create a floor you refuse to live below. This difference is powerful. A goal says, I want to publish 50 pieces of work. A standard says, I publish every Tuesday. A goal says, I want financial peace. A standard says, I review the numbers every Friday. A goal says, I want better health. A standard says, I protect a fixed sleeping time on working nights. Goals can inspire. Standards organize behavior. The future self needs both, but when emotion becomes weak, the standard remains useful. The fourth area is access. When everyone can reach you at any time, your priorities remain unprotected. Every message creates a decision. Should I answer? Should I help? Should I explain? Should I change my plan? A future self creates access rules. Messages may be answered during selected times. Calls may require an appointment unless there is a true emergency. Some requests may receive a standard response. Some conversations may end when disrespect begins. Some people may receive less personal information. These rules reduce emotional decision-making. They also teach others how to interact with the new version of you. The fifth area is recovery. Without a recovery rule, tired people often continue until performance collapses. They treat rest as a decision that must be earned. A future self understands that low-quality effort can damage work, health, and judgment. Create clear stopping rules. A time when work ends. A maximum number of intense days without a lighter period. A signal that means a break is required. A basic sleep floor. A rule against making major decisions during extreme emotional exhaustion. Stopping rules protect the system from the part of ambition that does not know when enough is enough. Removing choice also means removing escape doors. Many people keep an emotional door open to the old life. They say they are committed, but they quietly preserve a way back. They keep the harmful contact. They keep the unused application. They keep the financial access. They keep the old excuse. They keep speaking as though the new direction is temporary. An escape door makes retreat easier during discomfort. This does not mean making reckless, irreversible decisions. It means examining which old options exist only to weaken commitment. Suppose someone is leaving a harmful relationship but continues checking the person's profile every night. The relationship may be physically over, but the escape door remains open. Suppose someone is building a business but continues treating the work as something they will abandon after one difficult month. The identity has not fully entered. Suppose someone wants to stop impulsive spending but keeps saved payment information inside every shopping application. The old action remains too easy. Remove the path that serves no healthy purpose. The future self should not be required to resist the same trap every day. Another powerful tool is decision compression. Decision compression means turning many small decisions into one clear policy. Instead of deciding every morning whether to exercise, decide which 3 days are exercise days. Instead of deciding whether every invitation deserves a yes, create a rule that no invitation receives an immediate answer. Instead of deciding how to begin work, create the same starting sequence. Instead of deciding what to save each month, create an automatic percentage. Instead of deciding what to do after missing a day, create a repair rule. One policy can remove hundreds of future decisions. This saves attention for creative and meaningful problems. You should also build an exception budget. Some people create a strict standard, break it once, and then abandon everything. Others create so many exceptions that the standard has no power. An exception budget allows limited flexibility without destroying identity. For example, you may allow 2 schedule changes each month for unexpected events. You may allow a planned amount of flexible spending. You may allow 1 lighter training week during a highly demanding season. The exception is chosen consciously. It is not created every time discomfort appears. A useful question is this a true exception, or is the old pattern asking for a new name? This protects you from intelligent excuses. A true exception is specific and limited. An excuse repeats. A true exception protects the larger system. An excuse weakens the larger system. A true exception has a return point. An excuse has no clear end. The future self also needs consequence design. A decision becomes stronger when ignoring it has a clear cost. The cost does not need to be harsh. It needs to be real. You may work with an accountability partner who sees whether the task was completed. You may schedule a public delivery date. You may pay for a space that supports focused work. You may agree that missing a commitment requires completing a less pleasant repair task. The purpose is not punishment. The purpose is to stop every decision from remaining invisible. Private promises are powerful when self-trust is strong. During the rebuilding stage, external structure can help. Another method is the future calendar. Do not only write goals, place the responsibilities of the future identity into the current calendar. If your future success requires weekly planning, begin weekly planning now. If it requires exercise, place exercise now. If it requires learning, protect learning time now. If it requires relationship care, schedule that care now. If it requires financial review, create the review now. A goal without calendar space is competing against everything already scheduled. The future self cannot live only inside imagination. It needs time. Removing the choice to become small again also requires changing the meaning of commitment. Many people treat commitment as a strong feeling. Real commitment is a structure that survives changing feelings. You may wake up inspired. You may wake up doubtful. You may feel powerful after a successful week. You may feel weak after rejection. The standard should not disappear every time the emotion changes. This does not mean ignoring useful information. Plans may need adjustment. Strategies may need improvement. Goals may need to change. But change should come from review, not emotional escape. Create a review window. For example, you may review the strategy every 4 weeks. During the 4 weeks, you follow the plan unless new information makes the plan harmful or impossible. This prevents daily doubt from destroying long-term direction. The mind knows it will have a chance to evaluate. It does not need to reopen the entire decision every morning. A future self also uses identity contracts. An identity contract is a clear statement of what you no longer negotiate. It may say, I do not use borrowed money for emotional purchases. I do not continue conversations after repeated disrespect. I do not cancel important work for non-urgent requests. I do not make major decisions during emotional panic. I do not hide bad numbers from myself. I do not allow one weak day to become a weak week. These are not motivational quotes. They are operating rules. A good identity contract is specific enough to guide behavior. It should also include a repair rule. Suppose you break the contract. What happens next? You review the event. You identify the trigger. You correct any damage. You change the environment if needed. You complete one opposite action within 24 hours. The contract is not used to create shame. It is used to reduce denial. There is a difference between rigidity and structure. Rigidity refuses to adjust even when reality changes. Structure creates stability while allowing intelligent adjustment. A rigid person may continue an unhealthy routine because stopping feels like weakness. A structured person reviews the purpose and changes the method while protecting the value. For example, the value may be physical health, the method may be running. An injury may require replacing running with another form of movement. The value remains, the method changes. The future self is loyal to the purpose, not blindly attached to one method. Removing choice should never mean removing thought. It means removing repeated decisions that have already been answered. Another important area is language. The old identity often keeps choices open through weak language. I will try. Maybe I will begin. I hope I can continue. I will see how I feel. This language protects escape. Clear language creates direction. I begin at 9. I answer tomorrow. I am not available for that. I will review the decision on Friday. I missed today, so I return with the minimum action tomorrow. Clear language does not guarantee success. It reduces confusion. The future self also understands that some decisions must become part of identity rather than remaining tasks. A person who says, I am trying not to lie, still treats honesty as an active decision. A person who says, I do not lie to protect my image, has created an identity rule. A person who says, I am trying to manage money, may negotiate every purchase. A person who says, I review every financial commitment before agreeing, has a standard. Identity rules reduce options. This can feel restrictive, but healthy restriction creates power. A river without edges becomes a flood. Edges give the water direction. Your time, money, energy, and attention also need edges. The goal is not to remove every choice from life. The goal is to stop wasting your best energy on decisions that your values have already answered. You should not need a motivational speech to protect sleep. You should not need a crisis to examine money. You should not need anger to set a boundary. You should not need inspiration to begin important work. Build the decision once, place it inside a system, make the useful action easier, make retreat more difficult, create a clear minimum, create a repair rule, review at planned times. Then use your daily energy for execution, learning, creativity, and service. The old version of you became strong through repeated access. It always had another chance to take control. The future self becomes strong when that access is reduced. Not because weakness will never return. Weakness will return. Fear will return. Doubt will return. Exhaustion will return. But they will no longer find every door open. 7. Become the person before the success appears. Most people expect success to transform them. They believe money will make them responsible. A leadership title will make them decisive. A larger audience will make them confident. A good relationship will make them emotionally secure. Freedom will make them disciplined. More time will make them focused. But success often multiplies the person who receives it. Money can multiply order, or it can multiply carelessness. Attention can multiply service, or it can multiply ego. Freedom can multiply meaningful work, or it can multiply distraction. Leadership can multiply wisdom, or it can multiply insecurity. A healthy relationship can deepen honesty, or it can expose the inability to receive love. Success does not automatically install the character required to manage it. That character should begin developing before the result appears. This is the central work of the future self. You do not wait for the new life to give you new behavior. You use new behavior to prepare for the new life. This changes the question. Instead of asking, when will success arrive? Ask, what would success demand from me if it arrived today? The answer may include skills, emotional control, systems, health, boundaries, communication, and decision-making. These demands are often less exciting than the dream. A person may dream about owning a business. The future demands customer service, financial records, hiring decisions, quality control, planning, and the ability to work during uncertainty. A person may dream about becoming known. The future demands consistency, criticism tolerance, privacy boundaries, and responsibility for what they communicate. A person may dream about becoming wealthy. The future demands patience, risk awareness, financial education, and the ability to avoid using money to repair every emotion. A person may dream about a strong relationship. The future demands honesty, listening, emotional regulation, loyalty, boundaries, and the ability to remain present during difficult conversations. The dream shows the reward. The demand reveals the person. Many goals remain fantasies because the person keeps studying the reward and avoiding the demand. To become the person first, begin with a future demand list. Choose the success you want. Now write the 10 most likely demands that success will create. Not the benefits, the demands. Suppose you want to lead a large organization. The demands may include making unpopular decisions, communicating clearly, understanding numbers, managing conflict, choosing priorities, protecting culture, and remaining stable when information is incomplete. Now examine your current week. Where are these abilities being practiced? If they appear nowhere, the future identity exists only in imagination. Find small forms of the future demand. You may not lead a large organization yet, but you can lead one project clearly. You may not manage a large budget, but you can manage the current budget honestly. You may not face public criticism, but you can practice receiving direct feedback without becoming defensive. You may not have a large team, but you can communicate expectations clearly with one person. The future self is trained through smaller versions of future pressure. This is different from pretending. Pretending focuses on appearance. Training focuses on ability. Pretending buys symbols of the future. Training builds the skills of the future. Pretending speaks as though success has already arrived. Training works as though responsibility may arrive soon. Pretending wants others to see the new identity. Training wants the identity to become useful. A person can look successful and remain unprepared. The future self is not a costume. It is capacity under construction. Another method is future role rehearsal. Choose one role your future will require. It may be leader, creator, investor, teacher, partner, manager, business owner, or skilled professional. Then identify the hardest moment inside that role. Do not rehearse only the successful moment. Rehearse the difficult one. A leader must deliver bad news. A creator must continue after weak results. A business owner must handle a customer complaint. An investor must remain calm during uncertainty. A partner must speak honestly without attacking. A professional must admit a mistake and repair it. Ask, how would the person I am becoming handle this moment? Then practice the response in current life. If the future role requires calm communication, stop using emotional messages as your current communication style. If the future role requires careful financial decisions, stop making current purchases without review. If the future role requires physical energy, stop treating the body as though it has no connection to performance. The future self is revealed during pressure, not only planning. You should also build future-level standards before future-level rewards. Many people increase standards only after they are watched. They arrive on time when the position becomes important. They organize money when the amount becomes large. They protect health when the body begins failing. They improve communication when a relationship is close to ending. The future self begins earlier. It practices seriousness before seriousness is externally required. This does not mean treating every small task like a life or death event. It means understanding that current behavior is training. How you handle small responsibility influences how you will handle large responsibility. A person who ignores small deadlines may not become reliable simply because the project becomes larger. A person who hides small financial mistakes may hide larger ones. A person who avoids small conflict may avoid necessary leadership decisions. A person who cannot protect 1 hour may struggle to protect an entire organization's priorities. Small situations reveal operating patterns. Use them as practice fields. Another important shift is moving from outcome identity to process identity. An outcome identity says, I will be successful when I reach this number. A process identity says, I am becoming someone who can repeatedly create value. An outcome identity depends on external results. A process identity grows through actions you control. The result still matters, but the person does not remain emotionally empty until the result arrives. They are already collecting evidence of transformation. They are more organized. They communicate better. They make cleaner decisions. They recover faster. They keep more promises. They understand their field more deeply. These changes are not small. They are the beginning of success before success becomes visible. You should build a future self calendar, not only a future self vision. A vision shows where you want to go. A calendar shows whether your life is moving there. Examine your week. Where is the skill building time? Where is the focused work? Where is recovery? Where is financial review? Where is relationship care? Where is planning? Where is quiet thought? Where is the activity that creates the result? If the future identity has no place in the week, the present identity still owns the calendar. Time is one of the clearest forms of truth. People often say something matters while giving it no protected time. The future self must appear in scheduled behavior. Another powerful practice is the future self audit. At the end of each week, review 5 areas. First, ability. What skill became stronger? Second, reliability. Which promise was kept? Third, capacity. What can you now handle better than before? Fourth, subtraction. What old behavior lost access? Fifth, exposure. Which future demand did you practice in a smaller form? This audit prevents a common problem. People measure only the final result and conclude that nothing is changing. The business may not yet be large, but the sales ability may be stronger. The audience may not yet be large, but the publishing system may be reliable. The income may not yet be high, but spending may be under control. The relationship may not yet exist, but emotional honesty may be improving. These are leading changes. The visible result often follows after the invisible structure becomes strong enough. You must also decide what the future self will no longer carry. Growth is not only addition. A larger future may require subtraction. Less distraction, less explanation, less emotional spending, less contact with people who reward weakness, less time spent proving yourself to uninterested people, less work accepted from fear, less dependence on praise, less chaos treated as personality. Every future has a weight limit. You cannot carry every old habit into a larger life. Ask, what must end because the future cannot support it? Perhaps the future cannot support sleeping at random times. Perhaps it cannot support avoiding financial truth. Perhaps it cannot support saying yes to everyone. Perhaps it cannot support relationships built on constant rescue. Perhaps it cannot support changing direction after every weak result. The answer should become a subtraction plan. A subtraction plan is specific. What will stop? What will replace it? What trigger usually activates it? What environment keeps it alive? What proof will show that it is losing power? This is stronger than simply saying, I need to stop. The future self also needs a different relationship with uncertainty. Success will not remove uncertainty. It may create larger uncertainty. A small decision affects a day. A large decision may affect years. A small audience creates limited feedback. A large audience creates conflicting feedback. A small operation has fewer problems. A large operation contains problems you cannot personally see. If your current goal is to eliminate uncertainty before acting, your future success will overwhelm you. You must practice making clear decisions with incomplete information. This does not mean guessing carelessly. It means gathering enough information, understanding the risk, choosing, and adjusting when new facts appear. A future self is not someone who always knows. It is someone who can remain functional while learning. This requires humility. Some people imagine the future self as a perfect, powerful person who never becomes confused. That image is harmful. The real future self will still make mistakes. The difference is in the response. The old self may hide the mistake. The future self examines it. The old self may blame someone. The future self accepts the part that belongs to them. The old self may abandon the entire direction. The future self repairs the method. The old self may protect appearance. The future self protects reality. Your future success does not require perfection. It requires a stronger correction system. Ask not only, how will I perform well? Ask, how will I respond when performance is poor? This question reveals maturity. A person who can only function while winning is not ready for lasting success. Results move, markets change, people leave, plans fail, energy rises and falls. A future self needs emotional range. They can celebrate without becoming careless. They can lose without becoming hopeless. They can wait without becoming passive. They can change strategy without losing identity. They can rest without abandoning purpose. They can admit fear without obeying it. Another important practice is pressure matching. Increase responsibility in controlled amounts. Do not wait for one giant moment. Take on a project slightly above your current level. Speak before a group slightly larger than the one you know. Manage an amount of money that requires more attention. Teach what you have learned. Lead a small team. Publish work where feedback is possible. Have the conversation you normally avoid. Each controlled challenge expands your operating range. The goal is not constant stress. The goal is contact with demands that are slightly larger than your current comfort. Too little pressure creates no growth. Too much pressure creates collapse. Useful pressure stretches without destroying. After each stretch, recover and review. What became difficult? Where did emotion take control? Which system failed? What skill was missing? What worked better than expected? This turns experience into capacity. Without review, people repeat pressure without learning from it. The future self also requires an internal board of advisors. This does not need to be a real group. Though mentors can help, it means learning to hear more than one voice inside a decision. One voice asks, what feels comfortable now? Another asks, what protects the future? One voice asks, what people will think? Another asks, what reality requires? One voice asks, how to avoid loss. Another asks, what risk is necessary for growth? Before a major decision, write these voices down. Then ask, which voice is speaking from fear? Which voice is speaking from evidence? Which voice is protecting appearance? Which voice is protecting the larger purpose? This creates distance from emotion. You stop treating the loudest thought as the wisest thought. There is also a future self-test for opportunities. Not every opportunity belongs to the person you are becoming. Some opportunities reward the old identity. A chance to earn quick money may damage long-term trust. A chance to gain attention may require losing integrity. A relationship may provide excitement while destroying focus. A project may look impressive while pulling you away from your strongest direction. Ask, does this opportunity train the future self or feed the old self? The old self may want recognition, speed, revenge, escape, or proof. The future self may choose patience, alignment, skill, reputation, and stability. This does not mean every future decision must be serious and difficult. Joy belongs in the future too, but joy should not be confused with escape. Rest should restore you. Entertainment should not consume the life you are trying to build. Relationships should add truth and support, not require permanent self-reduction. Money should create options, not become the only measure of worth. The future self needs a life that can be lived, not only admired. One reason people fail to become the person first is that the new identity appears too distant. They imagine a perfect figure with complete confidence, perfect discipline, and no weakness. This creates separation. A more useful question is, what is the next believable version of me? Not the final version, the next version. Perhaps the next version completes 4 focused work sessions each week. Perhaps the next version reviews money every Sunday. Perhaps the next version stops answering every request immediately. Perhaps the next version publishes 1 useful piece of work each week. Perhaps the next version speaks honestly in 1 relationship. This version is close enough to practice and large enough to create movement. Once that identity becomes stable, another version can be built. Transformation becomes a series of believable expansions. You do not need to become the complete future self in 1 month. You need to stop living as though the current version is final. The present self is not an enemy. It carried you here. It learned how to survive earlier conditions. Some habits that now limit you may once have protected you. Silence may have protected you from conflict. People-pleasing may have protected connection. Perfectionism may have protected you from criticism. Emotional distance may have protected you from rejection. Distraction may have protected you from difficult feelings. Respect the purpose the old behavior served. Then decide whether it is still needed. You can say, this helped me survive, but it cannot help me lead. This protected me before, but now it is reducing my life. I understand why I learned this, but I am choosing a stronger method. This creates transformation without self-hatred. The future self should not be built by attacking the past self. It should be built by giving the present self better tools. The final test is simple. Would your desired success recognize you as a safe place to arrive? Would more money find financial order? Would more attention find emotional stability? Would more responsibility find clear systems? Would a healthy relationship find honesty and boundaries? Would freedom find discipline? Would opportunity find preparation? You do not need perfect answers. You need growing answers. Every week should make your life slightly more capable of holding what you say you want. Success may arrive slowly. It may arrive suddenly. It may arrive in a form you did not expect. Your responsibility is not to control its exact arrival. Your responsibility is to make sure the person standing at the door is no longer completely unprepared. Build the schedule, build the skill, build the self-trust, build the financial order, build the recovery system, build the emotional range, build the courage to be misunderstood, build the ability to continue when results are quiet. Build the honesty to examine what is not working. Build the discipline to remove what keeps restoring the old identity. Then success will not be asked to create a new you after it arrives. It will meet the person who has already begun becoming capable of carrying it. Your future will not be protected by hope alone. It will be protected by the habits, standards, courage, and self-trust you build before success arrives. Do not wait for a bigger life to create a stronger you. Become stronger now, because when the door finally opens, the goal is not only to enter, the goal is to become the person who can remain.